I call the Monday, October 16, 2023 meeting of the Louisa County Board of Supervisors to order.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move we go into closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1 to discuss performance assignments and assignment of employees, and pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A7, 8, and 29 to consult with legal counsel and staff about the award of a performance and water service agreement with Amazon Data Services Incorporated, where discussion in open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the county, and pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A7, 8, and 9 to consult with legal counsel and staff about the award of a contract involving property in the Patrick Henry District, where discussion in open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the county, and pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A7, 8, and 3 to consult with legal counsel and staff about acquisition of real property in the Mountain Road District, where discussion in open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the county.
And properly moved and second, we go into closed session. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We're in closed session.
Into open session.
Been properly moved and second that we go back into open session. I will now poll members to certify that to the best of your knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act and as identified in the motion for which the closed meeting was convened were discussed and considered by the board. If any member believes that the board varied from the reasons stated for the closed meeting, please state so and the reason prior to casting a vote. Mr. Gentry?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Barlow?
Yes.
Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Purcell?
Yes.
All right, we're back into open session. This is the October 16th, 2023 meeting of the Louisa County Board of Supervisors. I'd like to welcome those of you who are in attendance here in the public meeting room and those that are watching online. As we do with every meeting, we will start with the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would like to join us, please stand. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight thankful for the opportunity to gather together here to conduct the business of the people of Louisa County. Lord, we ask that you would bless this meeting, bless the decisions that we make here. We ask for your guidance as we conduct the business of the county. Lord, we ask that you would be with our first responders, both here and abroad, and protect them and keep them safe. We ask that you would watch over and guide our country. We ask for guidance for our president, for our governor, and all those that make decisions that this country depends on. We pray all this in Christ's name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. The first item of business tonight is the adoption of the agenda.
So move.
Hold on.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add a substitute for the resolution authorizing the purchase of planning and zoning software to a resolution authorizing the purchase of community development software. And then I'd like to add a resolution to assign the agreement of the sale, delivery, and use of the reclaimed water, anticipation of the sale of Spring Creek Golf Course under action items, sir. I think that's it. Is that right? Right all? That sound right? Okay, good.
You got it.
All right, is there a second?
Second as amended.
All right. Do you want us to vote here, Alex? All right, please cast your vote.
Bet Tommy's first.
I'll say this one more time, though. If you've been to a meeting, this is our, I think, third meeting using a new electronic voting system. We're getting better. We're not perfect.
Oh, I can vote for you for this one.
I'm already ahead on
Did you vote?
it'll pop up.
Okay.
I'm first.
All right.
You are first, because your name's first.
No.
Yes, not because you voted fast.
Motion passes
Oh,
7-0.
Oh, Dwayne's first tonight, look
Yeah,
at
there you
that.
go. So, next item on the agenda is the,
I went from 2 to last.
it's the approval of the minutes.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those, or please cast your vote.
Beat you that time.
I have a feeling it's probably changed the order. Chairman, vice chairman, then down the line like that.
Rachel? did you-
I do not, I didn't get the vote.
Make sure you hit C.
I think you're done.
I'm a yes, but there's nothing up there. Nothing popped
Did
up.
you do it already?
No, I didn't do it. It did on the first
Passes
vote.
7-0. Next is the approval of the bills.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, please cast your vote.
Then I did, because I've already done voting. Oh, kick me, how did they kick me out? Because I've already done like 3 votes on it.
Is she a yes?
You gonna vote yes?
Are you a yes?
I'm a yes.
What y'all doing?
We'll see if it goes again.
Motion passes 7-0. Next is the approval of the consent agenda.
So move.
Any discussion? Please cast your vote.
Ah, there it goes. Thank you.
Motion passes 7-0. We don't have any recognitions tonight. We do have public comment.
That's for you. Here's your first one. First one.
So when I call your name for public comment, you can address any item to the board that is not a public hearing. We do have 2 public hearings tonight. One is on the transit occupancy tax, and the other one is on a real estate tax exemption for Brackett's Farm.
5 minutes.
Okay, we'll give you, this one's 5 minutes, Scott. You will have 3 minutes to speak unless you're representing a group. The first speaker is David Kogel. He is representing a group. We'll give you 5 minutes. When you have 15 seconds, I'll give you a 15-second warning. Just state your name and your voting district.
My name is David Kegley. I'm from Patrick Henry voting district, and I'm the secretary on the Louisa County Electoral Board. We, the Louisa County Electoral Board, as well as the Office of Elections for Louisa County, would like to thank you for all that you've done to help us in our move to our new facility, as well as we'd like to recognize Anderson Wolfhook for his job in all that he and his team have done in renovating the facility and providing us with the best facility probably in the state for us.
Right.
It's outstanding. I remember 2 years ago when the suggestion was made to move us to a former library, and my vote was no, okay? This facility is going to last us a long time, okay? And with Anderson's help, it's just absolutely fantastic. Another issue came up this past month concerning ADA requirements in the county to meet the state's requirements. And we had to affirm that we met all ADA requirements. Anderson and his team went immediately to inspect all the facilities, our precinct locations, and correct any deficit that he found that was wrong. Okay? That's all been done, and we sent a letter to the state certifying that we are in compliance. In addition to that, I'd also like to thank the Louisa County IT department, who has helped us not only in the move to the new facility, but in some other items that we're trying to do to make the voting process, whether it be advertising or just letting the citizens of Louisa County know more about the election process, so either early voting, primary, or as we're getting ready right now for the November election. Do you have any other comments as a group? Yeah, I did mention John Grubbs as part of Anderson's team. Okay. So do you have any questions of me? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
Since our 5 minutes is not up yet, I'm Chris Watkins, the Director of Elections, Patrick Henry District, and I just want to say thank you. I never dreamed when I was sitting out here in this little cubby hole that we'd have a space like that. It is so nice, and I really do appreciate it, and the voters appreciate it, and it's just been nice for early voting and for our training and for the board to have their own conference room over there. And it's super nice. And we're under Homeland Security critical infrastructure, and they came and did a safety at first entry inspection of our facility. And they said that with a few tweaks, we would have one of the safest facilities in the Commonwealth. They were very complimentary of all the forethought that went into that. So thank you all so much. I appreciate it. And I'll try not to nag you about anything in here.
Thank you for all
Well,
you do.
thank you. Thank you very much. And Chris, we will have to say, we miss seeing you when we come in, over there, because we'd always wave, yeah. All right, can we get back to 3, Scott? All right, next is Jeffrey Bullock.
Jeffrey Bullock. I'm from the Cuckoo District. I got some photos I wanted to share with and what I'm talking about this afternoon is I have a problem with a neighbor that's creating like a landfill or trash dump right there, kind of like right in the front of my house. And I have to drive past that every day. And this stuff is just out there. So I've been dealing with the county. I've talked to the Community Development Department, and they've been working on it. They've been looking at it, and the Assistant County Attorney, they've all carried the guy to court. And from what I understand, it was ruled that it was ruled for him to clean it up at one time, and then the judge changed his mind and said, no, he doesn't have to clean it up. But anyway, so what I'm trying to do is, I'm trying to figure out now what it is that I need to do, because this is right here. I travel past this every day. My driveway goes past this every day. And this is what I see. This is what I see every day. Me, my family, the neighborhood, the churches in the community. We got a community center right down in that area down there. This is what we see every day. And it's got stuff all down in there that runs down towards a creek, you know, where you have wildlife down there that uses the creek and whatnot. I'm just trying to figure out what it is that I need to do now, because they said there's nothing that the county can do. So I'm coming to you guys for some kind of guidance.
I just love knowing, but I'd like to ask a question.
So typically, we don't respond back. It's
Okay.
but there is a question.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
I'm fine.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Hey, is this a guy, I just have a couple questions. This somebody's been in the community a long time?
No, sir.
Just moved there?
He's been there maybe 3 years, and this is what have accumulated over 2 years.
Okay.
I've been there in that area for 30 years.
I understand. I was expecting to see something of Tim's here, but I don't see anything of Tim's. I'm
ain't
glad I
talking
don't have to
about
see
no
that. So,
We're not talking about that.
have y'all tried to offer to help him clean it up or pick it up? I'm just asking. I mean,
Well-
sometimes is he still collecting there?
Every day. He's
Every
bringing
day.
stuff, bringing stuff. They put it back. You know, they move stuff. What you see pictures. The first page is the front yard, and everything else is what you see is in the back. And then the last photo that you see is the road going down towards my house. Every day, this is what I have to see.
Mr. Chairman,
What road is it?
Mr. Barnes?
I'm not going to break our protocol and go back and forth with Mr. Bullock, but I would know can I have this added for brief discussion after this citizen information period?
I'd like to add to that. I have 2 locations in my district that are in similar condition, and we haven't been able to do anything. I'd like to have a discussion about if there's something we can do in our county.
So,
Okay.
we added some under discussion. Discussions.
Well, I don't go now, but we're going to talk.
Go now. Don't go nowhere. Don't go now.
Where we go now?
now.
Anybody?
No.
All right, that's all the cards I have for public comment. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the board during public comment? All right, I'll close the public comment period. We'll bring us down to discussion items, which
Here we are, trash around the county.
would be a discussion on littering. Mr. Barnes?
Mr. Chairman, I want to make sure I get this clear, because our words run really fast. The Board of Supervisors are not trying to create a new law, okay, to prevent citizens from doing what we're doing their property. They're not. We're not. But these examples have been brought to me. I got a big situation in my district on West Old Mountain Road, where we got a neighbor who got air conditioned parts everywhere and all that kind of stuff. And the neighbor's been getting on me, calling me 24/7. Well, I called the county, assistant county attorney, and the law, and I'll let him tell you about it, but he has gone to court. He has won a case like this. Then the judge reversed it. Now, what I'm concerned about, I don't want another egg on my face where we've been told by people that there's no laws to deal with something, and then find out they could have dealt with it, could have been dealt with. Now, you got to come and show me why our current laws, or there's no current law that will allow us to address this, because Mr. Gentry tell you, we spent a long time in this county dealing with a trash ordinance, probably over 2 years, to try to get it together, a clean county ordinance. So I'll let Mr. Eldridge tell you what's one of the things and one of the reasons that he'd been told by the judge why we couldn't enforce this. But this is a problem that's getting worse.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
in the past, I've had a couple of these pop up in my district, and he has not contacted me as supervisor, by the way. But the biggest problem has always been what ordinance you use or what law you use. And most of the time, it came down to the only thing you could really sink into, is it a safety hazard? And there's other counties that have some rules, but again, they're really can go either way when they go to court. So we've never had a real good, in my opinion, a good way to handle these, and they pop up all the time. And sometimes they end up being like junkyards. Well, there are ordinances that cover junkyards now, but when it comes to just somebody who wants to be trashy, then we come up against property rights, person rights, and in my opinion, safety. And the safety is the thing that a lot of times you can look at the conditions and you may be creating, rats or whatever the case may be, if you can prove it. And that's the only thing we've tried to use, and it hasn't worked.
Did you have something, Ms. Jones?
Mr. Chairman. Can we, I know that there's a few surrounding counties, I believe Flavanna and Albemarle, that have some ordinances on the books about property and what is on them. Is there any way we could look into to see, just dive into a little bit what they have and about cleaning their property up? I know Albemarle County has been requiring over the last several years for property to be cleaned up. And I'm just wondering if that's falling under an ordinance or how they're going ahead and doing that.
Mr. Eldridge, did you want to talk to Mr. Barnes' point?
Yes. Give me one second. I'm going to pull up the Virginia code. Essentially, what we have is the majority of the county of Louisa, as we all know, is zoned agricultural or A1, A2. The code specifically says, and this was updated in July of 2021. So before then, our code was up to date, and the judge circuit court judge actually gave us credit for that. Our code was fine. Once that law got updated in July of 2021, it now states that any property that is zoned agriculture or in agricultural operation or farming operation cannot, that duty to keep residential property clean ordinance or law cannot be applied to those properties. So what we got here in that particular situation is that land was zoned A2. I took it to court. Originally, both the general district court judge and the circuit court judge looked at the property with these pictures, and it was easily, there's no farming operation here. Problem is, it's also zoned agriculture.
Because
So
the
that's
underlying zoning was A.
right. So I can't say what other counties are doing, but I assume that Albemarle, probably the issues that they're having, the places that they're having it, those properties aren't actually zoned agriculture.
Makes sense.
So that's probably how they're getting rid of it.
residential or something along those
Mr. Williams.
That would make sense.
Being a Dillon rule state, I guess that's where you're drawing that from, because the state has put the ordinance down to us. Does it speak to the underlying zoning, or does it speak to the agricultural operation, or is it either or is it both?
It says or. After our decision was overturned, which was I think a day or two later, after the decision was overturned, we put together a brief, tried to make the argument that there's no farm here, but that or got us. So the judge really looked at that or.
So the or is from the state ordinance?
Yes, the
And
state code.
we can't change our local ordinance to make it, has to be and? We can't do that? Or is that an option?
As long as that or is gonna stick,
Or it's gonna stick because it's from the state?
because it's from the state.
Because we're Dillon rule, and because we can only have the powers they give us.
Absolutely. And even if we went at it with another direction, I tried to use that as well. I tried to bring in some nuisance arguments, but our specific code does not have any reference to anything other than that 15-point two.
So my question is, if we changed our code and made an and in there,
That wouldn't be
That
sufficient.
still won't work because the state code says or.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, in your opinion, I know we're putting you on the spot, so, and you're filling in tonight. But I mean, when you look at, and I've had issues like this in my district. I've worked with Mr. Kuhn, and somehow, fortunately, we were able to get a resolution. Well, I don't want your opinion tonight, but would you research along with Mr. Kuhn, and bring back to us any suggestions, possibilities, things that we could look at? Because again, you do have to be careful with property rights, but you also have an option when someone has that's also affecting the neighbor's property rights.
Absolutely.
So there's a balance there. Anybody else have any other comments? All right, thank you. That brings us to,
Wanda.
yes, Mrs. Colvin, a resolution authorizing a budget supplement to Mineral Volunteer Fire Department for an HVAC system replacement.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Mineral Fire Department submitted a request in their 25 upcoming budget year to replace their HVAC system. Unfortunately, it has failed before we got to that point, so they're requesting that we could potentially do a budget supplement now in this fiscal year so that they can get that fixed. They've gotten quotes. The price is $11,676. And any questions you may have?
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded that we approve. Is there any discussion? Please cast your vote.
Oh, trying to get it.
Motion, did you mean to abstain? Oh, well, he's not there. Motion passes 601. Next is a resolution authorizing a pass-through appropriation
Willie, did you mean to?
for the East End Radio Tower Capital Project with funding from the 2023 COPS grant. Mr. Kuhn.
Yes, afternoon, Chairman and Board. This is the money that was set aside from Spanberger's office for the community project that we finally went through the DOJ application process, and we were awarded the $1 million, and this is for us to accept the funds and be able to start drawing down and working on that project.
Move we approve it.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a comment.
Mr. Barlow, sorry.
I'd like to thank Mr. Kuhn for going after that grant and securing it for us. I think it need to be applauded for bringing us an extra $1 million into the county.
Thanks, sir.
Kevin.
Yes, sir.
Certainly don't want to slight Mr. Coon, but Congresswoman Spanberger is the one you probably want to do cartwheels with. Because she went after that money and made it available for Louisiana County.
Thank you to Deputy County Administrator Kuhn and Congresswoman Spanberger for bringing that money into us. All right, please cast your vote. Motion passes 7-0. Next is a resolution authorizing the purchase of community development software.
Second. So moved.
Mr. Kuhn, all right, we got a
Second.
motion?
Second.
Second. All right. And I know I have up here.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
while we're getting ready for the next thing, just to add on that recent vote that we just took, am I correct, Mr. Kuhn? You told me this afternoon that that's going to make it much easier for our citizenry out there to file applications with community development from their home and keep them from having to come all the way into the county office building. I think that's a really great thing.
Yes, sir. This is moving to Civic Plus, which is the same program that Culpeper uses. So if anybody's interested in seeing what it will end up looking like, the Citizen Portal has all of the available applications where they can file online, as well as track the status as it moves through the process without having to call community development to get that status update or come down to the county building.
Just for the record, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Motion passed 7-0. Next is a resolution to assign the agreement for the sale, delivery, and use of reclaimed water in anticipation of the sale of Spring Creek Golf Course.
So move.
Any discussion? All right, please cast your vote.
I'm sorry, Rachel.
No what?
I'm sorry.
Sorry for what?
That's your district.
Oh, it is my district.
I know.
It's all good.
Motion passes 7-0. Do we have any committee reports this evening? Yes, sir.
Affordable housing, because we got some other things to deal with tonight, I just want to get a board warning.
Warning, he says.
Warning.
Warning.
That you're gonna hear me say something about affordable housing every month until we have a summit on it. We really need to decide, are we gonna look to try to do affordable housing or stop using the term? It's, and I'll show you all later, but the rental property market has gone crazy. It has really become to the point where it's unaffordable for people to find somewhere to stay. And my eyes got woken up. The houses I'm seeing going for $1,700, $1,800 a month for young people, and not only young people, elderly people. But I'm not gonna get on my soapbox tonight. But I want us to sit down or have a committee and make a decision. Are we gonna seriously try to fix this from a local perspective?
All right, any other committee reports? Any board appointments?
I'd like to make one comment. You know, at the last board meeting, we did make an appointment for Jaunt,
Yes, sir.
and I understand the board wants to take a different approach. So my last meeting at Jaunt, I put everything on hold. So waiting basically for if we want to make a change here.
Okay. All right, anything else? All right, county administrators report.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, just a few brief remarks. We did have the annual meeting that your regional agreement with the library board compels for a review of their budget. We also did just complete the required 5-year review of the regional agreement. There's still some lingering discussion about the out-of-area fee. I believe when I spoke to you all about it last, we had suggested the concept of potentially a scholarship fund for those in need to be able to access relief from that out-of-area fee. The impact to Louisa from a fiscal standpoint is not great. It is greater comparatively to some of the other jurisdictions. But more on that to come, but those discussions do kind of continue. In my county administrator's report, fairly straightforward, the monthly reports for the month of September, continuing trends in community development, fire and EMS that I've discussed with you at prior meetings. There's a VDOT report in there on page 189 for the month of October. I do want to remind you that Household Hazardous Waste Day is coming up on Saturday the 28th, as well as a trunk or treat, haunted shelter, and barn and free adoption event at the animal shelter on the 31st at 6 p.m. So encourage your constituents to show up. Free adoption event. So.
Any questions for Mr. Goodwin? All right, we'll move on to our public hearings. We do have 2 public hearings tonight. The first is a resolution amending the Louisa County Code, Chapter 10, Article 3, Transit Occupancy Tax, Section 10-52. Ms. Coleman.
Yes, tonight, this public hearing is for you to consider increasing our transit occupancy tax from 2% to 7%. So the ordinance change would be going from 2% to 7%. It would become effective January 1st, 2024, with the caveat that any owner of an establishment that already has a contract in place before, with the date of people staying there before December 2024, at that 2% rate, for those, they'll be taxed the 2% rate, provided they supply a copy of those contracts to the Commissioner's office by December 20th of '23. So that's the change. The additional money, the 3 to 5% increase, so we make about $389,000 a year at our current 2%. The next 3% of that increase would help fund some additional tourism needs, with tourism being a big driver here in the county. And the 2% above that we can use for other general fund expenses. Any questions you may have?
Any questions for Ms. Coleman? Yes, sir.
What is that, in other words, what I don't understand is why we putting this sunset clause on there if we're gonna make it an increase from 2 to 7%.
My understanding is, and correct me,
So,
Mr.
you want me to
Adams.
answer? I'll answer
Yeah, I
the
was gonna
question.
say, yeah.
So you're asking So the question became, and I know there's someone here to speak about it tonight, is there are rentals that are already booked for 2024 that have signed a contract, that the contract states the 2% transient occupancy tax that Louisa County charges. If it would increase to 5, or to 7, or whatever we would increase it to 7, that contract can't be changed, so the operator of the rental property, whether that's a hotel or a short-term rental, would have to make up the difference. So this would allow up until December the 20th, I think, Ms. Colvin?
December 20th.
For anybody that has a contract for 2024 under the current rate to come to the Commissioner of Revenue's office and say, I do have this rental at that rate, that would be grandfathered in up to, only through next year, but only on a contract that's already in place by December the 20th.
So that 5% increase over that contract period, how much would that amount to?
Well, it would be on a per rental basis. You're probably, and I know Ms. Killam is going to talk about that, I see her here. If you had a rental for $1,000, the 5% would be $5,000.
I have a question.
But it's only for existing contracts that are already booked by December 20th, 2023 for the calendar year of 2024. It would only lock those existing contracts into 2%. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Colvin, I'm making an assumption this might pass tonight. So if this passes tonight, then the ordinance goes into effect today?
January 1st.
Okay, that's when the rate changes, but the ordinance goes into
ordinance would
effect
go into
today.
effect today. Yes, sir. The
Why
ordinance
would
would
the
be.
date not be concurrent with today or tomorrow?
Yeah, why is it December?
I mean, that just gives me a chance to go out and book all the rentals I want between now and the end of the year.
No, it's a good
I mean,
thing.
is that a reasonable question, ma'am?
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
do you
So-
have an answer as to why that is? I
So
don't
we
know.
should probably add, my thought would be, we add like to this, any owner of an establishment who has a contract in place as of today's date, which would be, I don't know what today is, October the 16th.
Make it tomorrow's date. Make it tomorrow's date. I mean,
Has a
you know,
contract
I mean, why
as
would we?
of
I'm just, I'm
10/17.
asking, why would we hold the window open for 75 more days
Yep.
for people to book rentals? If they haven't booked them, they're not, if they're not booked, they're not booked.
Makes
If I'm
perfect
thinking about booking it, then, and if I wait, it's like when I buy an airline ticket, if I go online, I say, oh gosh, the airline ticket's $350. But I'm gonna buy it tomorrow and it's now $420. It happens.
So with the language that is in that ordinance change, then we can add after who has a contract as of October 17th, 2023 for the use of space. We could add that to that
Why
if
don't
you so
we make
choose.
Make it like all of ours are, then the night, I mean, if it passes tonight, that's when the ordinance takes place.
Well, we're saying tomorrow.
Hold on.
No, if an owner of establishment offering transaction tax who has a contract for use of the space on or before at the rate, I would say that the rate changes effective tomorrow morning or tonight at midnight, unless you can bring proof of a contract that you already previously signed.
Contract dated before today.
Yeah, and I would put a sunset clause on that. I mean, you have 30 days to turn it in. I mean, otherwise, I'd just be popping out contracts, I mean, I could abuse the system by popping out contracts, putting on fake dates. I mean, you know, I could be doing that November 18th.
I agree.
And that's also for the ones that are licensed in the county that are licensed now.
Well, if they're not licensed, they're not going to send you
They're
the
not
money.
collecting, they're not collecting
I
any
can
transit
promise you that.
Yeah, but I'm thinking this new ordinance may very well bring some of these people, because doesn't it say that if you're operating and you don't follow those guidelines?
They have to get a
that you s-
CUP.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I think a lot of them that have not registered before will be, if there's that many out there.
We can add that additional language.
Well, can we get the language straight while we maybe have a public hearing? Because I'd like to see that. Sure. Thank you.
Any other questions from Ms. Colvin? All right, I'll open the public hearing. I do have one card, Ms. Killen.
The final,
Transient
she
occupancy.
changed it. I can run.
Thank you very much. Janine Killam, Cuckoo District. And I am a short-term rental owner. I think I may have been one of the earliest people in the county last year when we were talking to the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors. I encouraged you to raise the transient occupancy tax because I thought Louisa County was leaving money on the table as a pure pass-through. I don't pay it, my renter pays it. And I was surprised that you suggested from 2 to 7%. But be that as it may, I live here in the county, so I will benefit for that money. Mr. Barlow, to your question, I'm a small rental operation. I have 6 rentals on the books. That 5% increase would cost me just shy of $900 if I had to absorb it.
But you have them already signed, right? You've already signed the agreement.
6 that have already been signed.
So if we make it effective tomorrow, it's not a big deal for you?
Absolutely
Okay,
not.
good.
The other thing that I would suggest to you is that look at your OTAs, Airbnb and VRBO, because they will set the tax based on, I guess, communication with county. Your staff people probably know that. However, until they get the memo, they will be charging 2%. And there's not much that I know of as a property owner that I could do any differently. And I think that's it. Thank you very much. I think you're getting some money for us, so that's a good thing.
Thank you.
I would say that if all of the renters were like Ms. Killam, we never would have had to visit this in the first place.
Good chance you're right,
You're
sir.
probably right. All right, I don't have any other cards. Is there anyone else that would wish to address the board concerning this public hearing? All right, I'll close the public hearing, bring this back to the board. I know we're working on language.
Okay, the way,
I'm sorry, Ms. Colvin.
no, you're good. I should have printed it out. Okay, so it's that last piece where any owner of an establishment offering transit occupancy who has a contract signed on or before 10/16,
2023.
2023 for the use of a room or space before December 31st, 24 at the rate of 2% shall be taxed 2% in 2024. And then you go with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're going to say a contract signed on or before.
I move we approve it.
So, hold on. There wasn't there.
There's more. You want me to read the rest?
Well, I know, and I see the Commissioner of Revenue here, there was a deadline for the people to, so that the Commissioner's office could put it in and not be
December
pushed.
20th. Do y'all want to move that up? Y'all mentioned 30 days.
Yeah,
We can move
I'd
that
move it
up.
up.
But what we don't want to do, I think, is
Pretty-
December the 29th, people running in here to her office.
We've
trying
got
to-
December 20th.
Right.
So if we want to move it
We talked about
30 days from tomorrow,
Yeah.
You want it sooner?
And transient occupancy is paid quarterly, not monthly.
But the contract's
So-
gonna have to make it in to
The
proof.
contract has to make it in.
How are
So
we doing that?
You want to change that date?
So you can't write in the
that
contract
date
and
should be
backdate it.
fine.
Well,
So she's good with that date.
The December date's fine with how they file with
wait, what's the question, Ms.
I
Fryland?
thought we just established that we were gonna make the date if it becomes
did.
effective tomorrow.
But you got to get your contract in. You can,
Yes.
let me give you.
Sure.
You
By
gotta go.
December the 20th,
contract has
improve
to be
it.
signed by
Let me read the whole thing,
Yes,
Mr.
yes.
Barlow. Any owner of an establishment offering transit occupancy who has a contract signed on or before October 16th, 23 for the use of a room or space before December 31st at the 2% rate shall be taxed 2% in 2024 if the owner has provided a copy of the rental contract to the Commissioner of Revenue on or before December 20th, 2023. So they
Back that
have to
up-
bring the
back that up to
contract
30
in.
days.
And that would be our currently listed
But back that.
owners.
You
but
want
back-
it sooner?
Well, it would have
It
to
could
be.
be any owner.
because-
That'd be
yeah.
cureless. Yeah, 30
Yeah.
days from today. Give them 30 days to get the contracts in.
That's
So
fine.
what happens if a new unlisted owner that has a contract
November 16th.
on a place comes in next week?
As long as they got
as
all the
the-
paperwork in place and they register, who cares?
And it's signed and dated today, the 16th, then it's okay. They can bring it in next week.
They've been working out of compliance, but now they'd be in compliance.
Yeah.
That'd be good, right?
To the Commissioner of Revenue on or
Looks like me,
before
we're opening it
November
up.
16th, 2023. Is that right? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll
Yes,
make those changes.
Do we have a motion?
I made it.
Any discussion? I do want to, I have some discussion before we go on. and Mr. Barnes pointed this out at the last meeting, this is what's commonly called a hotel tax, but it's a tax on visitors from the county. But there was a point made at the last meeting by some people that were here when we were discussing short-term rentals that I need, oh, no, here. That we have lake traffic, we have boats on the lake, we have some unexperienced people on the lake. I think some of the funding, what I would like to see as we move through the budget process, and we'll decide this as a board, I understand, but that some of this money that would be unencumbered outside of the tourism money could be used for emergency services at the lake, especially since the vast majority of the transit occupancy tax in Louisa County is generated from short-term rentals around the lake. I just wanted to make that point. All right, I think everybody's cast their vote.
Disagree on that.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion and a second on
Yeah.
that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Did your vote pop up on the screen?
Yeah, I'm almost sure it did.
Did you get?
He made the second, certainly it's gotta be in favor of it.
If not, Alex can vote you.
He doesn't have to be, but I would assume he is.
You in favor of it? She can vote you. Good, yes for him. I don't know.
Are we voting again?
Yes, I don't.
Voting again?
The first vote didn't show.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Good deal.
You want to do a roll call? All right, let's do a roll call. We're having system issues.
Old-fashioned way.
Yep.
Next election is like this.
Yeah, keep voting.
You want to call a roll, Alex?
Mr. Purcell,
Yes.
Mr. Barnes,
Yes.
Mr. Barlow,
Yes.
Mr. Adams,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Jones. Yes. Mr. Gentry.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. All right, next is a public hearing to amend Chapter 70, Code Section 70-228 of the Louisa County Code, request for real estate tax exemption for Brackett's Farm. And who's going to present that?
I'll take care of it.
Okay.
I'll try to take care of this for Ms. Phillips. So you all have talked about this over the last few meetings, or over the last couple of months at a couple of meetings. So Section 6A6 of the Constitution of Virginia and State Code 58-1-3651 provides that localities may exempt properties that fall within certain religious, charitable, patriotic, historical, benevolent, cultural, or public playground purposes from real estate or personal property taxes. So this public hearing tonight is to consider an amendment, as you stated, Mr. Chairman, to Chapter 70-228 to add a Section D to that, which would exempt the Elizabeth Aiken Knowlting Charitable Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that operates Brackett's Farm, from those taxes in Louisa County. And I believe the applicant is here with a presentation on that subject, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Mr. Chairman?
Before I call on questions, I would note that we do have some emails, letters that were sent to the board on this issue. They will be put in the record as a part of the board's official record. Mr. Williams?
Mr. Chairman, a couple meetings ago, we had a presentation by Brackett's, and at the, against the council that was representing them, we decided to table it, which I think was a good thing, because we made a site visit out there. We felt really good after we made a site visit. We were put on a committee to kind of tasked to look it up, and so I feel like that the committee is very supportive of where it is, what's going on, what they're doing out there. I think Brackett's is doing a really good job with what they have, and it seems to be in compliance with the code and the change that we have here, sir.
I'd like to make a statement. Myself and the county attorney, we went out and had a fabulous tour and learned exactly the intricacies of Brackett's Farm and what they are doing to support our community and help our community above and beyond. And it was pretty amazing, and what they're doing to maintain a historical piece of property within our county that holds significant to every member of this community, significant value, and I think they're going above and beyond.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Y'all have been out there, is this open to the public?
Yes.
It is open to the public, and they have fishing and hiking, they're maintaining trails, they're maintaining the structures of the historic buildings, which is as we all know, it's an expensive task to do. The grass to mow, to maintain the community gardens, the events that they're holding with different community organizations. Name a few would be extension offices involved out there. The Historical Society has held events out there. The gardens, public meetings they've been allowing to hold out there, and anyone can go. They have a parking area at any point in time. You don't need to make a reservation or call. You can stop on in.
Walking trails.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add one more bit of detail from information that the commissioner has provided, it looks like total tax in 2023 was a little over $7,500. Of that, a little over $3,000 was on the land only. Stacy, if I'm reading your figures correctly.
So just for clarity, the committee recommends approval.
None of this going into profit for it's going back into the facility. They have no paid staff. They have a farm manager who's managing it, but no paid staff on their board or anything of that nature. Nobody's benefiting financially from it.
All right, we'll open a public hearing. I do not have any cards. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak to the board? Yes, sir.
Well, thank you all so much for that. William Hale, and I'm speaking as a member of the board of the Elizabeth A. Nolting Charitable Foundation, which owns and runs Brackett's Farm.
You get 5 minutes to
Yeah, we'll give you 5 minutes.
We're adding you a little bit of
I started
time.
at 3. We'll give you 5.
Oh, I also have.
No. You still get 5 minutes.
Keep talking, just one.
And so but I wanted to say thank you for those really very helpful remarks. And we thought we were fighting an uphill battle here. Maybe I don't even need to do the song and dance I prepared.
Yeah, read the room, Mr. Hill.
I've been here before, haven't I?
Yeah, you have.
We do have a slideshow.
We've got it.
We'd like to see it, sure.
We'll pull it up.
Am I already half a minute into this thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You're
So what is
between
Brackett's
You're
Farm?
good.
you and closing hours, you. Last calls, you.
Yeah. Brackett's is. Thank you so much. Okay. What is Brackett's Farm? Most of the people who've been in the county for a considerable period of time are familiar with the name. Probably couldn't tell you what's going on out there. But I invite each of you all to visit and take advantage of the opportunities. Brackett's is and has been a lot of different things over the years, and that's the reason why the property is such a resource, and so much so that I'm going to have to read some of this. But it's one of the older farms in the county, and I understand it was during Carl Nolting's ownership. It was the political center of our county, and I also understand there's some people, older people in the county who have some stories to tell us about old Mr. Carl, and I think maybe Mr. Purcell, you've heard some of those.
I have, yes, sir.
So we're trying to collect all those we can because we're a historical site. It's also one of the traditional uses of the farm of the Brackett's Farm for the public has been the pond that Mr. Nolting built with state funds, and it has been a traditional fishing site for people in that end of the county, particularly the black community. For all that time, and right now the board is made a lot of effort to keep it open. It was closed down at one time. A lot of you all know that the establishment of the Green Springs Historical District was a pretty controversial and contested event in the county that divided us, as no other thing really has. But now that the Zion area is intensively growing, people are coming to realize that farmland preservation is good for everybody. And you can imagine what would have happened to Green Springs if the land had not been preserved. I would venture that all the growth that happened at Lake Monticello would have happened there. And probably Zion Crosswoods would be an incorporated town by now. And you can imagine the difference it would make to the county. But all that land is private. And the only one that's open to the public is Brackett's. And it's because of Elizabeth Nolting. And I'm not sure I'm going to be able to keep going on this. Dave, maybe you can give me a hand
I'm
with this.
I'm watching your time. You have about 2.5 minutes left.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Interesting.
Elizabeth Knowlton gave this property to the people of the county. And it was her vision that people needed to know what farm life was like, and it would be needed in the future. In the 1970s, nobody could envision anything being different out there than it was, but now it's still the same there, and everywhere else has changed. And she has made that happen, and she gave a board some money to manage it. There was some mismanagement early on, and there might be some people who have a bad impression of Brackett's Farm because of that early mismanagement, but I would tell you that the board that we have now is intent on getting public use, and we have lots of different uses. I'm not sure that I even need to tell you much of what else I have written down here, and you all know what my voice sounds like plenty good at this time. Tess Verheyen is one of our new board members. She's also one of the new county residents, and she is in a long line of people who have put together some really nice activities at our garden. We've had charitable gardens for a long time, and let's just let Tess tell you a few things that we're doing now.
I'm going to fast forward it to your section.
Okay.
Yes.
Good evening, my name is Tess Verheyen, and I'm in the Green Springs District. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you this evening. The area of Brackett's Farm I'm going to talk with you about are the gardens that we have there, some of the events we do, and the educational programs that we have done this past year. The charitable garden at Brackett's Farm was established initially in the year 2010, and after a brief hiatus, was reestablished in 2022 with the help of the Louisa Extension Master Gardeners, members of the board, and volunteers from the community. In the year 2022, the charitable garden donated 1,933 pounds of fresh produce to the Louisa County Resource Council and to Hooves and Paws Animal Sanctuary. That of all those vegetables that were not able to be utilized for human consumption, they utilized them by giving them to the animal sanctuary so that it was a win-win situation, that nothing went to waste. And I can tell you that Dolores the pig out at Hooves and Farms and the goats really enjoyed the okra and didn't mind that the seeds were so big. This year, the Louisa Extension Master Gardeners and private citizens volunteering at the garden continue to maintain the garden, and they have just begun harvesting their fall harvest, which is Swiss chard radishes, and they plan and are aware that they are going to exceed 2,000 pounds of donations again to the Louisa County Resource Council and to Hooves and Paws. So it's really been a lot of work, but it's also been very fruitful and successful to Louisa County, helping with food insecurities and with nutrition. The Educational Pollinator Garden was a second garden that was started this year in the spring, and that was developed by board members, again, Louisa Extension Master Gardeners, and private citizens. And this pollinator garden was a garden that we developed so that we can have native plants and a hands-on educational opportunity for the public to learn about the importance of pollinators and the importance of native plants in climate and in our community. In May of this year, the Louisa Agricultural High School class and their teachers came out and planted the pollinator garden. They helped us erect the fence and get the pollinators garden started. Since its inception, the Louisa County 4-H has been out there on a weekly basis. They've planted pumpkins, sunflowers, pollinators, and we've been very grateful and very successful this year with all the help that we have from the volunteers that we have out there. One of the 4-H students entered her flowers that she grew at the Brackett's Farm into the Louisa Agricultural Fair and won first place, so we're very proud of that. And also the 4-H group that was out there that planted the pumpkins from seed and tended them through the summer were able to harvest the pumpkins and sold them, raising $200 for their club this year. So it gives students an opportunity to start from seed and work and then see benefits of their harvest. There's been children ages 5 through 18 that have been working out in the garden in addition to the adults that volunteer out there. The educational endeavors at Brackett's Farm, visitors have of course come out and can see the flowers and enjoy the pollinators and the sites. Also, the Louisa Extension Master Gardeners had a class for training their new Master Gardeners out there in March of this year. The Louisa County High School was out there doing water analysis and plant identification. The naturalists did a tree walk where they identified trees for the community, and it was, again, open to the public for children and their parents. And the master gardeners also that are volunteering out there in the gardens help the students to learn about companion planting, the importance of pollinators, the importance of native plants. The pollinator garden also allowed us to have an opportunity to present educational programs to schools in the area. We were able to take butterflies that were hatched on the milkweed that our students planted and release them at the Moss Knuckles Elementary School with the second grade class.
Oh, that's
Also with
awesome.
the kindergarten and a preschool at Frost Montessori. And the kids absolutely cheered when the monarchs were released and off to Mexico. We also had, yes,
Yes.
we also had a release at the garden for kids that are homeschooled, and those were the kids that planted the milkweed, so they were able again to see from the inception the process. Some of the events out at the farm are the Historical Society had an ice cream social. We have free fishing to the public, trails and hiking. They had an evening tree walk, the Naturalist Society, and we had a butterfly walk, forestry and life tours. And we welcome people to come out and enjoy the rich history and the beauty that is at Brackett Farm. So we can have events if you come to our website, and we'd be happy to have your event hosted out there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, that, Mr. Hill, that is your time. Your-
2 minutes we have left.
No, you're done.
No,
Oh, you're
no,
done.
that was your time.
Ask me any question you want, and we can give you some of the other.
Okay, I don't, does anybody have any questions?
Dave Stone wants.
Can I show you 2 slides? That's it.
2 slides,
Yep.
yes.
Just wanted you to know.
Go right ahead.
Please
Go
do.
right
Very
ahead.
quick. I just wanted you to know, I'm the treasurer, by the way, and I've been the treasurer for 8 years.
Use,
Right, sorry.
introduce yourself and use the
I am
microphone.
David Stone, Louisa Voting District. I am been on the board since 2012. I've been the treasurer since 2000, or I should say 8 years. And the main thing I wanted to share with you that our operating funds comes purely, we have limited resources, and operating funds comes purely from rentals, donations, and grants. We don't charge a fee to anybody. When the county came to have a reenactments on our land, you had it. We didn't charge anything. You had thousands of people out there in Louisa County. Lastly, just to help you, I just went through our books. So for the last 3 years, our taxes are costing us approximately 15% of our operating budget, just to share that with you. So thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you all very much. Anybody else wish to address the board? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing, bring it back to the
Yeah,
board.
quick question.
Mr. Gentry?
Oh, he called you?
Mr. Gentry?
Tony, go ahead. He's
Ms. Fletcher, this'll be so they don't have to pay taxes this year in the current form it's in?
If that's what y'all want.
In the current form it's in, it speaks to they don't have to pay it this year, right?
If that's what,
Okay, but it's written so that they would have to pay it this year?
I don't know.
Helen
I
did this
confirm that it's
one.
written so they don't have to pay taxes by December 1?
You would enact it today, so that would change the ordinance effective today, and that would be sufficient to exempt the taxes that are due
That's
By December
December
1st?
by December
December
1st.
5th.
Yeah.
5th, okay.
Okay.
Question there.
I just want to make a couple comments. I've had the fortunate experience to be out there several times on tours, et cetera, et cetera. The last one was September the 10th, which was the ice cream social. You know I'm not going to miss up any food, so the ice cream social. But my first one out there was really a blessing. I had the opportunity to get a one-on-one tour with Mrs. Knowlton and to mainly talk about history. And it has so much history that if you involve the history at all, farm going back to 1790, but it was a farm that really, back then, a lot of the farms, the big farms, even in Albemarle County, in the Green Springs area, they all work together. And they sometimes trade off on their slaves, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a very, very important historical site, in my opinion, for Louisa County. And I think it's a no-brainer to help any way we can. By the way, as I'm working on the Jack Jewett tour route, there's things like Brackett's Farm that I'm going to include in that particular route. So it can be a very important historical site for Louisa County.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Purcell?
I just want to provide a little bit of context because I think it's important. I'm certainly going to support their request for tax exemption. Obviously, they've done a great job and are continuing to do a great job, and I'm familiar with a lot of the different things that are supported by the farm. But just so everyone's aware, we were given a legal document that said that we had to take a strict constructionist view of this code section by council. And that's what I did. And the reason for that was it was explained that you could get into a real sticky wicket doing this for a lot of different people. So now I think that brackets has superseded that because of what brackets does, but I do want the public to be aware, for anyone watching, and for the reason that there was some discussion about whether it even had this hearing, is because that's advice that we were given. I congratulate brackets on meeting the section of the code that allows the board to use their own judgment to supersede that strict constructionist interpretation of the code, and I think brackets has done that, and I feel confident that we'll provide that exemption for you tonight. But I did want to get that on the record so that everyone can understand why we got to this point. It wasn't any kind of a negativity towards brackets, it was just trying to put everything in context.
Any other comments? All right, do I have a motion, Ms. Jones?
I'd like to move to approve it, but I do just want to say, oh, Tony, one thing.
Second.
He wants a second. I do believe we had what you were talking about, a view that we wanted, a strict view. But I do believe that our Commissioner of Revenue also did some research for us, and she was under the impression of one thing. And when she did some research and found that other jurisdictions do have brackets farms similar to theirs, and they are allowing that we were able to shape that view and reshape it and allow for this. So this was a work in progress, and everyone kind of evolved through this. So I do make a motion that we approve.
And I seconded it.
You already
There you
did.
go.
Already.
All right, please cast your vote.
Who you waiting on?
Waiting on you, oh, yeah.
I'm a yes.
Put him as a yes.
I think I can.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Mr. Williams?
Mr. Chairman, I move we go into closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1 to discuss the performance and assignment of employees.
Second.
Properly moved and second, we go into closed session. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're in closed session.
Motion.
Is there a second? Second. Been properly moved and seconded, we go back into open session. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I will now poll members to certify that to the best of your knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act and is identified in the motion for which the closed meeting was convened were discussed and considered by the board. If any member believes that the board varied from the purposes stated for the closed meeting, please state so and the reason prior to casting a vote. Mr. Gentry?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Barlow?
Yes.
Mr. Barnes?
Yes.
Mr. Purcell, we're now back into open session. Mr. Barnes?
So move.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded that we adjourn. All